Let's start the project. We'll do with a new one. So let's go with a start new Android project here. I'm gonna go with the empty activity. Next. Naming purpose, I'm gonna give the name SoundPool because I will be using SoundPool. Okay, so package name, let it be default. Location default, and the language will be Java language, not the Kotlin. Then uncheck this last one. Since everything is fine, just finish and wait for the Gradle to build up. It will take time. It will depend on how computer speeds and then internet too. Okay, now it's done. It took just 5 seconds for me. Okay, before everything, just change this one. I'm gonna change Android to project because I feel more comfortable with the project. SoundPool, apps, src, main, rest. Okay, this is our Java, and then this is our rest folder. Now, and here in the layout section, I'm gonna remove this constraint layout because I'm not gonna use constraint. So I'm gonna use instead linear layout. Okay. Now I will remove this text view because I don't need any more text view. I'm gonna remove this line. Okay. Now everything fine. Let's go and remove the dependency for the constraint layout. So just below this, when you will open this res folder, you just see below, you will see this build.gradle. So open this one, and then here you can see here one line which is about the constraint layout. So remove this one. Okay, now everything fine, just sync the project once and wait for the complete. Okay, it's done. Okay, finish. Now let's go to the resources folder, and then before that, let me just show you something. You have to prepare the sound. This one I have already prepared here. Two sound I'm gonna play because I will keep two buttons in which first sound will be this, second sound will be this. Let's copy this one. Let's go to Android project again. Right click in this resources folder, then go to new, and then go to Android resources directory. Click here, and then just in middle resources type, go to here and then write RAW. Select RAW. And the resources set, let it be the main, and then finish. Okay, then you can see in resources folder you got one more folder here which is RAW. Now copy those two music file here. Now just minimize this and then copy this. Right click, copy, or you can just simply drag like this. Now just bring here and then paste in RAW folder. Okay, now you can see here there is two folder files here. One is click chart, one is coin on. So this will be our folder and the music. Now let's go for the activity, I mean the layout. We need two button here, sound 1 and sound 2. Let's create the button first. Button height, and then it will be the wrap content. Close it. Now just I'm gonna give the text as I will say play first sound, and then the ID I'm gonna give first underscore sound. So ID for the first button. Now everything done. Now for the second button I will just copy this one, copy, Control C, and then Control V. Now the ID must be unique. This ID here is first sound. Here I'm gonna give it second sound. So this is first ID, this is first ID, this is second ID. And the name also I'm gonna say this is the second button. So I'm gonna say second, play second button. Okay, now everything seems to be perfect. Now I want this one to align in vertically. So I will go to main linear layout, and I'm gonna change the orientation to vertical. Okay. Now it's arranged vertically, and I want this item to be in center. How we can go? Just change the gravity of the main linear layout to center. And you will see the item has been changed in the middle, and then I want this second button to be little far than the first one, so I will go to the second button and I'm gonna say margin, layout margin, enter column layout margin top, so it will be 60. I'm gonna give dp. Now it's look perfect. Now the coding part is done. Now you can see the text in the button, it's a little small, so I'm gonna increase the size. I'm gonna say text size, I'm gonna give it to 35 sp. Okay, 35 sp. I think it's too big. Let's say just 30 sp. Okay. Now for the second button, I'm gonna say size to text size to 30 sp. Okay, now it's looking good. I give the bigger one so that in video, whenever I will click, you will see little bigger. I can give it 20 also, 25 something. Yeah, 25 is perfect, I think. Okay, now it's done. Now the XML coding part has been finished. Now let's go to the Java. In Java, I have to define the variable of this two button first. This two button, I have to define the variable, or you can say the short name. For example, variable will be private, and then variable of button. So first button, I'm gonna say button underscore first, then comma. The next also I'm gonna say button underscore second. Close it with semicolon. Now one more thing, I need number of sound. How many sound I'm gonna play? I'm gonna play two sound with two buttons. So I'm gonna say here it is integer. Sound will be integer. So private int. How many I want to, right? So I will say that it is like sound id. So I'm gonna name it sound. I will say it first. first first underscore id. This is the first one. And for second, I'm gonna say second underscore id. So these are the id for the sound that we are going to play later. Now one more thing I need here is that the variable of SoundPool, because we are using SoundPool, so it is private SoundPool. Okay. Now the short name of that SoundPool I'm gonna give with smallest letter SoundPool, so that you will not be confused. I'll just close it. We got the variable of buttons, two buttons, first and second, and then we got the numbers of id of sound, two sound we are going to play, first id and second id, and this with the help of SoundPool, and the short name of SoundPool is SoundPool with the smallest letter. Now in on create method, we are going to find the id, or we are going to find the buttons with the help of id. So as I told you that time, I have defined the id for both. Now let's find what is the variable of button, or short name of button one is btn first, right? Now equal, I will do find the button with the help of find id. Here with since I'm using the app compact activity, so I don't need to cast here something like this. I don't need to cast here. Since I'm using the app compact activity, I can use directly find id. Okay. Now the idea is id of the first button was, yes, it is inside the resources r dot id dot and the first sound. Okay, now close it with semicolon. Now find the id of second button. So I can say button, it is number 2 second. Now same thing, find id, it is inside the resources r dot id dot and it is second sound. Okay, now close this one. Okay, now the button id has been found out. Now we have to create the audio attributes, because we are using the sound pool even for the higher than lollipop. Okay, now we can say with the condition, if build if build dot version dot stk integer is greater than or equal to build dot version code, which is lollipop, then use this method. This will be execute if the version code is greater than lollipop. This method will be execute, and then if it is less, else. If it is less, execute this method. Okay, so let's define for the first method. We have to use the audio attribute as I told you that time. So let's say audio attributes equal new audio attributes. Okay, we don't need this double quotation. Okay, yeah, we don't need this one double quotations, just remove it. Dot builder. Okay, now let's go with next. Now we have to set the set uses. It will be gaming type. Okay, so let's say dot set uses, which is actually the gaming type. I'm gonna say audio attributes dot uses game. Okay, now finish. Now do the second one. Dot here we have to set up the content type, so it will be set content type, and the same thing, the content type will be content type sonification, right? Audio attributes dot content type sonification. Okay, now we have to build dot build. Now the first line has been finished. The attributes, audio attributes has been finished. Now let's create the SoundPool object for the higher version than the lollipop. SoundPool object. How we can do? What was the variable of SoundPool? It was SoundPool in the smallest letter, right? So I'm going to say SoundPool equal new SoundPool dot builder. SoundPool dot builder. Okay, SoundPool dot builder. Now here we have to set the max stream and then audio attributes. Now let's say max stream means how many music we are going to play. I'm going to play 2 music, so I will say dot set max stream only 2. Okay, now next I have to set the audio attributes. Dot set audio attributes, and here inside the parameter we have to pass the audio attributes variable. Suppose this one audio attributes, this one is the variable new audio attributes dot builder. So this variable we have to pass here. So I'm gonna just copy this one, copy, and then paste here. Okay, now this one done. Audio attributes. Now we have to build min dot build build. Okay, everything finished. Close it with semicolon. Now I have built up. Now we have built the audio attributes, and then we have put this audio attributes into the sound pool for the API level higher than the lollipop, which means higher than 21. Okay, so now this Android will check if the API level of the phone is higher than the lollipop or the higher than 21, then this method will be executed to play the sound. But if it is less than the lollipop 21, then this method will be called here. Let's say how else. We can say simple. The variable of SoundPool was smallest letter in SoundPool equal new SoundPool. SoundPool. Here we don't need builder, just SoundPool. Now here we have to pass the argument like max stream and then streaming type and then quality. So max stream here we know already it is 2 already. So I can write here max stream is 2, okay, comma, separate with the comma, and then music type. The sound type is audio manager, okay, remember here it is audio manager dot, and the stream type is music. Now the quality is, we can give here 0, quality is 0, okay. Now finish, close this one. Now we have set up the sound system for the API level 20 and higher than 20, 21, and then for the API level less than 21. Everything done. Now let's load the sound here. Let's load those sound here. Now first take the ID. The ID of the first sound is first ID and then second ID. So let's load the first sound first. So first ID equal variable of SoundPool is smallest letter SoundPool dot load sound. Now where is those sound? In this project, and then inside the resources file there is one folder named row, and inside that row folder I have some sound. So this add will be the first sound. Now close it, and here you have to give the priority, okay, priority, it will be 1, okay, now done. Now for the second sound, so I'm gonna say second ID equal variable is SoundPool and smallest letter dot load sound. Now first will be in this project I have one resources. Inside the resources one folder is their row, and inside that folder I have the items, and then comma priority will be 1. Now close this one. Okay, now the sound has been loaded here. Okay, the sound has been loaded. Now I want this sound to be play whenever the user click the button. So we have to give the button click listener. So I have 2 buttons here, you can see here. I have 2 buttons, here one and here one. So whenever the user will press this one, play the first sound, and whenever they will click this one, play the second sound. Okay, now let's go and give the on click listener for this both button. Let's take first the variable of the first button, variable button first. Okay, remember that one, button first. But I have written there less, sorry, it is first, and then I have to change the variable also. Okay, now done. Button first. Now take the variable of button first, just go all the way just after this one. Okay, here this must be inside on create only, right from here till here it is on create. So I'm gonna give the on click method for the button. Okay, so first button is fir, or I can say the button variable or short name was button underscore first button. Okay, this one, this is the first button. So variable short name is this one, same. Now first button dot set on click listener, on click listener new view dot on click listener. Okay, now implement the method, click here, alt enter, input or implement this one, click here. Okay, now done. This is the click listener for the first button. Now for the second button I'm gonna just copy from here and then paste here. Okay, this is for first button and this one is for second button, but the name variable must be, this is the second second button. Okay, now done. This one is for the first button, this one is for the second button. Whenever the user will click on this first button, the sound will play here, and whenever the user plays this one, the sound will play here. Now let's go with the sound, how we can do this sound. Now whenever the user will click for the first button, I want to play the first sound. Okay, so for that purpose I'm gonna take first I'm gonna take the variable of SoundPool. I'm gonna play SoundPool. So variable was in smallest letter, SoundPool dot play. And remember here, the first you have to give ID, and then in second, in this parameter you have to use 6 parameter. Okay, it's not 6, yes, it's 5 parameters. So first will be the ID, left it, then the second will be left volume, third will be right volume, fourth will be priority, fifth will be loop, and then rate. So let's say here, play the ID first. I'm gonna play this first sound here. Okay, whenever the user will click the first button, I want this sound to play. Okay, so I'm gonna say here ID first. So I'm gonna say first ID. Okay, comma, first ID, and then just keep comma. Now give the volume left volume I want only 1, right volume I want 1, and then priority I want 0, and then looping I don't want any loop, and then 0. The next is okay, yeah, rate I want only 1. Okay, now done. What it does, this is the right volume or left volume, this one is your right volume, this one is priority, this one is loop, and then rate. Okay, now let's see, when the user will press or click on first button, this sound will play. So this sound was come from where? The ID of this one is first ID, and this is the first ID, and in that first ID I put the sound, this one, coin add sound will play whenever this first ID will be clicked, first button will be clicked, this method will be called. Now for the second button I'm gonna do the same. So I'm gonna play the second button and then second ID. So I'm gonna take first the ID, short name or the variable of SoundPool. That is SoundPool dot play. Okay, SoundPool dot play. Now first will be the ID. So ID I'm gonna play the second one, and then after that second I'm just gonna keep comma, and then left sound I want 1, right sound also 1, and then priority 0, loop 0, and then rate will be 1. Okay, everything done. Close this one with semicolon, close this one with semicolon. Now everything is completed, finish, everything done. Now let's see and run our project whether it's work or not. I'm using this Nexus 4 API level 21, so you can use any. Let's start the project. Let run. It's building. Okay, the building has been completed. It's installing right now, launching. Okay, the apps has been started. Let's see whether it's work or not. When the user will press for the first sound, it will give the add sound, because I said whenever the user will click this first button, I want to play this coin add sound, because first ID I have put in this first session. Okay, this one, first button, this is the coin I put inside the ID, and this ID I have put inside the first button play session. Now whenever the user will click on the first, it will play the coin add. Okay, now let's see what happens when the user will click the second sound. See, can you hear? Whenever the user click the second sound, the user will call this function, because this is the second button, and whenever the user will click second button, this functions will be called, and then inside this functions I have put the ID, which is the second ID, and inside the second ID I have put the sound, which is nothing more, just click sound. Okay, so now I hope guys you understand how to play the SoundPool. So only this for today. Thank you so much guys for watching. Please subscribe my channel. Have a nice night. Bye.